Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are going deep into crypto and blockchain, but through a specific lens this time. Paxos Trust Company. You guys sent in a ton of info on them, and honestly, I'm pretty stoked to dig in.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing that really jumped out at you when you started going through all this?
It's funny you should ask that. I think for me, it's Paxos itself.
Yeah.
Their story. They aren't just another one of these crypto companies, right? I mean, they've been around since 2012, back when, honestly, most people hadn't even heard of Bitcoin.
2012. Wow. Okay, so like ancient history in the crypto world, right?
Yeah.
But gotta be honest, I'm blanking a little. Remind me, what exactly is Paxos?
So they're kind of this interesting mix. Think of a company that's just as comfortable dealing with all those Wall Street regulations as they are with blockchain. That's Paxos.
So not your typical crypto startup then?
Not even close. They really bridge this gap,
Yeah.
between the old finance world and this new world of digital assets. I mean, we're talking crypto brokerage, asset tokenization. They even have a gold-backed digital asset.
Wait, whoa. Did you just say gold-backed digital asset?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely circling back to that. But first, you mentioned they've been around since 2012, but I'm seeing here they started as ItBit.
Right,
Okay.
ItBit, that was the original name.
Yeah,
Back then, they were focused on just running a Bitcoin exchange.
yeah.
But things really changed for them, and I think this was big in 2015 when they got a trust charter from New York State, their Department of Financial Services, to be exact.
Okay, and why is that such a big deal? It honestly sounds kind of, bureaucratic and, well, kind of boring.
Oh, it is far from boring. This was huge, actually.
Yeah.
It made them the first company in the U.S. to get regulatory approval to work with crypto.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that is a way bigger deal than it sounds at
It
first.
totally changed the game for them.
Yeah.
Suddenly, they weren't just a tech company. They were a legit financial player. And that's huge in a world that, honestly, was pretty skeptical of crypto.
Makes sense. So you have this intriguing mix of old finance cred, but with cutting edge tech. So how does that actually play out? What are some of the things they offer?
Well, let's start with their Pax dollar. You might have heard of it, USDP.
Yeah.
Launched in 2018. It's a stablecoin, meaning
Yeah.
it's pegged to, you guessed it, the US dollar. Now, that might sound kind of basic, but in the crazy world of crypto, that stability is like gold.
I see where you're going with this.
Which brings us to Pax Gold. They launched it in 2019. This is digital gold that's actually backed by real gold, sitting there in a vault.
Okay, that is really interesting. I like that. Well,
They also haven't totally abandoned their roots. They still have that ItDit exchange.
okay.
So you can buy and sell your Bitcoin and other crypto. They also have these post-trade services for precious metals and even a security settlement service.
Hold on. Security settlement using blockchain. Okay,
But-
that is interesting.
Right. It just shows how much Paxos is pushing the boundaries. They aren't afraid to really dive into this tech.
Yeah. It sounds like they're doing a lot more than just, setting up another crypto exchange. What's the bigger picture for Paxos? What are they aiming for?
I think they're trying to revolutionize how financial markets work, and they want to do it all with blockchain.
Okay, yeah. Tell me more. I am interested.
So imagine this. You can make a trade, any kind of trade, and it's settled instantly. No middlemen, everything's transparent. That's the promise of blockchain.
Yeah.
And Paxos, I think, they're really building the infrastructure to make that a reality.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it like that. But let's break down one piece of that security settlement thing you mentioned. What makes it so different?
So right now, the way it works is you buy or sell stock,
Right.
right? Settlement, which is when the actual money and shares change hands, it takes days.
Days.
It's crazy. It's this really old system that relies on all these intermediaries.
And Paxos is like, hold my blockchain.
Exactly. And with their blockchain system, settlement could be almost instant, so much faster, cheaper, more efficient. It's really better for pretty much everyone except maybe those middlemen.
Right. But how does that actually help me, as an investor? What's the benefit for the little guy?
Okay, so say a stock you buy, the price jumps up right away.
Okay.
Normally you'd wait days to actually get those gains, right? With instant settlement, boom, the money's yours. Do what you want with it.
Now you're speaking my language. It's like all the speed of crypto, but with
Yeah.
the stability of the regular market.
That's what they're going for, yeah. And, they're not just talking about this. They're actually settling live trades on this system.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. So this isn't just some idea. They're actually making it work.
Exactly. Which is why I think they're so interesting. They're not just talking, they're doing.
Mm.
They get that the future of finance isn't about, getting rid of everything, but making these connections.
It's an integration idea. It seems really important to them.
It's huge for them. I mean, think about it. They started back in the Wild West days of Bitcoin. Then they get this huge regulatory win. And now this blend of blockchain with these traditional financial systems, it's like in their DNA.
You know, it's funny because when you hear crypto, you think Bitcoin going up, Bitcoin going down.
Right. Yeah.
Paxos is different.
Totally. And that's why I thought their deal with PayPal was such a big deal.
That's true. I forgot about that. But it makes perfect sense, though, right?
It makes sense.
I think suddenly you've got all these, like, regular people who use PayPal who probably never would have messed with crypto. Now they can in this safe, easy way.
And familiar. That's the thing. It's familiar.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just about, getting more users. It was about bringing crypto to everyone else.
And that says a lot about how they operate. It's almost like they're saying, look, we're not trying to be your bank. We're trying to work with your bank.
Exactly. And that's where this whole regulatory thing is so key for them. They want to play by the rules, work with regulators.
Which, let's be honest, in the crypto world,
Right.
that is not easy.
No. It takes serious commitment. This isn't about making a quick buck. It's about the long game.
But it can't all be easy, right? I mean,
agree.
what are some of the challenges they've had? Trying to do things by the book and innovate, what could go wrong?
Regulation is tough. It's constantly changing.
I bet.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Right.
And that uncertainty makes it hard to plan.
It's like, how do you build something if the foundation keeps changing?
Right. And then there's just like the trust problem.
Oh, yeah. Getting
right.
people to trust a new system, especially with all the crypto scams and stuff we've seen.
Yeah, that's a hard sell. But I think that's actually where their focus on compliance helps them.
So in a world where crypto equals risky, they're the safe bet.
They want to be, yeah. Like calm in the storm.
Smart, if they can pull it off. But hey, no risk, no reward, right?
And there are definitely risks. I mean, there's a ton of competition. For every Paxos, there's like a dozen other companies trying to do the same thing.
So how do they win? How do they make sure they're the ones who come out on top?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And I think the answer is in what they've done, their track record,
Yeah.
their commitment to doing things the right way. They're not just talking, they're building something.
It does feel like a really important time for all this. But how realistic is it? This whole idea of a totally new financial system. Is this something that could really happen in our lifetime even?
I mean, who knows, right? That's the big question.
So what do you think? What's your best guess? What does the future look like?
Okay, so picture this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 years in the future, right? You're just walking down the street, you want to buy a coffee, but instead of using your card, you use some kind of digital wallet thing.
Okay.
And it's all tied to your Paxos account. So the transaction is instant, boom, done. Settled right there on the blockchain. No waiting, no fees, none of that.
Okay, that makes sense. Faster, cheaper, all that. But what's in it for Paxos? How do they actually make money if everything's free and instant?
See, that's the thing. They're not trying to, replace the banks and stuff. They want to be the ones powering everything behind the scenes.
Okay.
So, think transaction fees, custody fees for all those digital assets, even maybe running the infrastructure for other companies who want to use blockchain.
So they're like the backbone, even if nobody really knows it. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and it just shows how big this could be. I mean, they're not just, disrupting one thing. They're changing how we think about the whole system.
It really makes you wonder, is this really the future? Are we all going to be using blockchain for everything?
I mean, it's a gamble. But they seem to know what they're doing. I mean, look what they've done already. They built this whole reputation on trust, and they did it in the riskiest industry out there.
That's true. Getting that regulatory win early on was huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's like they were thinking 10 steps ahead while everyone else was just trying to figure out the basics.
Okay, I'm starting to see why you're so into them. It's not just luck. They're really playing the game. But
Yeah.
what if it doesn't work? What could stop all of this from happening?
Well, the government's a big one, right?
Yeah.
Regulation could always change. Even with everything Paxos has done, there's no guarantee governments won't just decide to, crack down on crypto.
Yeah, that's true. One new law could change everything. Anything else?
Well, and this is a big one. You got to think about how much the old system doesn't want to change. Those big banks and financial institutions, they're not just going to roll over.
It's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks.
Exactly. It's going to be a slow process.
Ah.
Lots of push and pull.
So bottom line, for someone listening who's like, okay, this is interesting, but now what? What should they be paying attention to? What's important here?
I think the big takeaway is this isn't about crypto versus the old way of doing things. It's about finding that middle ground,
Bridge.
Exactly. And Paxos is showing us that it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Well, this has been really interesting. I always love learning about these companies that are really pushing the envelope.
Yeah, they're an interesting one for sure.
So for our listeners who are now hopefully just as fascinated by Paxos as we are, what's the one question you'd leave them with? What should they be thinking about after they finish listening?
I think the big question is, what other Paxos are out there? What other industries are ready for this kind of change, just waiting for someone to build that bridge?
What other bridges? Indeed. That is a good question. Well, thanks for coming on and doing this deep dive with me.
Thanks for having me.
And for everyone listening, thanks for joining us. Keep exploring, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive.